Hi guys, welcome again to yet another episode of Untitled Chapter. Today I'm joined by my fellow African brothers all the way from Nigeria, original from Nigeria. They are not necessarily in Nigeria, but we have Ife from Nigeria right now, and we've got Ola also in Nigeria, and Coyote also in France. So at this particular time, as the topic suggests, we are going to talk about the ENDSARS and the police brutality in Nigeria. But we also want to respect the lives of the people that actually that we lost during this difficult time for the country of Nigeria. And I would request everybody who is watching from anywhere, we can observe a minute or so to just respect the lives that were lost. I think we can start now. A moment of silence. Okay, guys. Okay, thank you so much for observing this moment of silence. And okay, so now I think I can reintroduce again. I think are we going to start with the topic about? I'm sure quite a lot of people in Africa, from Southern Africa or from any other part of Africa, might not really have a full picture about SARS. From you guys, what is exactly is SARS? I mean, Coyote, can you tell us about the history, how it actually come into being? What was intended?
Well, the purpose of SARS is a special unit of the Nigerian police force to fight robbery. So it's an anti-robbery squad. So it's state anti-robbery squad. And I think in 2017, the then acting president, the vice president, Yemi Osinbajo of Nigeria, gave an order that it should be reorganized. And now it changed to SARS, that's the federal, And so, and it now become a unit directly under the Inspector General of Police, not under the state command again. So, but what we have seen is that these people are meant to be fighting anti-robbery, but they are not doing that. They are after people's phone, harassing people, a lot of stopping people, cite them, and which is beyond the scope of what they should be doing. So that was what caused the issue we are facing now.
Oh, okay. So SARS was actually, when it was formed, it was intended for a good cause. It's just that it lost its way along the way.
Yes.
Okay. Ola, how do you feel about this? Where do you think they got it wrong?
Right. Thank you, Herbert. Just like Aode was trying to say, in 1992, that was when SARS actually started. And it was also with a very good intention. Let us fight anti-theft, robbery, car theft, murdering cases and the rest. So special force, similar to what we have in the US, the SARS of US, that only goes out when there is, a major incident, and they just go there to intervene. So also we should have the SARS in Nigeria. But they got it wrong when they started digressing from their sole responsibility. They have the autonomy not to wear uniform because they just want to be disguised, to go into the street and be able to mingle with people so that they can have more intelligence around the operations. However, what we see today, like corruption, is a menace that has hidden into several areas of the government,
Yeah.
and SARS is not an exception. Take, for
Okay.
example, they go after people who are robbing. Take, let's say, the Yahoo boys, those guys who actually scam people.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get there, they know them. They've even formed an allegiance. They formed, a sort of connection with them. They only go
Okay.
there to harass them and collect money. They are not going there to stop their activities. They are aware that these guys have gotten paid, but they only go there to just arrest them so that they can collect their own share and release them. So they got it wrong, because the system was not well monitored, and there's no proper audit to do a sort of checker and maker and checker to say,
Yeah.
okay, although you guys have autonomy, but are you truly doing what you ought to do every time? So that is actually the point where we got it wrong. There's no maker checker system in place, and they abuse, power, because one way or the other, corruption crept into the system.
Okay. So it's like, in a nutshell, what you're saying is these guys, they find the culprits. They know that these guys got paid. After getting paid, I lock you down. I lock you up. Then for me to release you, give me the money that you got paid. So in a
Yeah,
nutshell,
it's so bad to the extent that they take people to the ATM to withdraw money.
really,
You
Exactly.
check your
to
phone,
the
you
ATM?
check the last alerts you have. It's so bad that recently I heard that they even collect money from Bitcoin wallet. It's that terrible. And you begin to wonder what kind of
What
the
kind of?
fraud they are fighting. They themselves are fraudulent. So what they are intended to fight, they themselves are doing it. They are into because they obtain people, they
So,
harass people and all of
in
that.
a
I
nutshell,
remember,
we can say that they changed the sides. So
yeah,
they are not.
I remember when I was in Unilomi, when I was doing my master's there, I, we're just driving at the gate, just at the gate, we want to buy corn, and
Mhm.
they passed us, and they said they want to search our phone. And I was like, no, I was the only one that insisted among my friends that no, you don't have the right to. My phone is so private.
Yeah,
You have the right to check it.
you
So
can.
yeah, so the intention of creating that agency has been defeated because number one, when you look at the recruitment process, it's bad. I
Mhm.
think I read something. I discovered that it is people that are former
Boko
people that are
Haram.
in robbery before, people that are
Ex-convict.
ex-convicts. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the word I'm looking for. That are part of that can be recruited into the scheme. They are not doing psychological evaluation for them. They are not well trained, and all those things have really affected
That
the
okay.
score.
Okay. So if what would be your catch on this? What would be your experience? Tell us how you see SARS.
Well, as a lawyer, I've had cause to, of course, interact with
Yeah.
SARS on a limited level.
Mhm.
The first time I interacted with SARS, it was more. I was at their office in Ikeja, and
Okay.
I saw how ruthless they can be. Right there in front of me, they were going to shoot somebody in their office. But of course, because I went there for a different matter, it was difficult to say you want to, because we have had cases of lawyers who will go in to bring somebody out and then they take the lawyer himself. because, because they would not want to
That's funny, man.
but I think the problem, one of the problems that SARS had was the lack of clarity as to
Mhm.
their jurisdiction.
Okay.
SARS clearly was supposed to deal with anti-robbery. So again, they were not supposed to be taking Yahoo guys because
Okay.
Yahoo guys commit economic and financial crimes. That's why we have the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
EFCC.
Okay. So,
Except 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 the Yahoo guy is carrying a gun. SARS
okay.
does not have jurisdiction to deal with the Yahoo guy.
Okay.
So there's some of
So,
the issues that I
so
think SARS have.
before you go any further, I think I also lost you in this part. When you refer to a Yahoo guy, who is a Yahoo guy?
We're talking about a scammer. Okay, okay. Well, those of us who are
Bro.
Nigerians, those who are Nigerians are quite
Yeah.
used to that. Okay, so I think maybe to bring it down home, you will hear the Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the people we call Yahoo guys. They are folks who do email scams. They
Ah,
hardly they don't do guns. They just work with emails. They are the ones who send you mails telling you that somebody has an inheritance of $1 million, and if you are interested, you can just send an email. Basically, some of those very crude things. There are some that are very advanced, of course. There are some who are very advanced. But the point is, they hardly carry guns such that SARS would now come after them. I can tell you that if Abbott were to come to Nigeria, the way you look, you probably would have to deal with SARS at every junction, because we are looking at issues
you
of
can't even pass through junctions. They will have
Yeah,
they will hold them.
yeah,
looking at issues of profiling, the
Yeah.
way you are dressed, the kind of phone you use, the kind of car you ride, and you know what SARS would do with you. So I think there was, like Olanwa mentioned, there was the fact that they were not being controlled. It did not even look as if the IG himself had control over the unit,
Okay.
even up
Okay.
to now.
Okay, so I get it. So now you guys, okay, I think now I can go. I mean, continue with these answers. I will go for sure because I think I won't be profiled that way. Because now I'm already like, ooh, I don't have to go there, or I have to change my phone, or I have to be in some kind of way for me to just pass one junction to say, okay, I'm passing this junction. Okay, but okay, so now this all this is happening. So trying to understand. I know I don't know Yahoo guys. Someone just said Hepe doesn't know Yahoo guys. I really didn't know. Now I know. Now this to understand. So is it only in SARS or is it other officials as well? Is it only in that department or the normal police officers don't do the same thing or the soldiers don't do the
yeah.
same
I mean,
thing?
the police force of the country is very terrible. They are bad. You know, what is not in their duty to do, they will be doing it. So, like I told people, I said this fight should not only be about SARS. The police force, Nigeria police force, in its entity, is bad, so terrible, and they look for a means to obtain people to collect money, bribery, it's very bad. So it's not only the squad, SARS is just a unit in the police force, but generally the Nigerian police force is very bad. Well, we still have some of the officers that have distinguished themselves in the force, because I have friends that are police officers, and I don't think they are doing that. They are behaving that way, but well, that's yeah.
Yes.
I think Abad Suhad, I think the Nigerian police force is no longer just about the few bad eggs. We don't
Okay.
have the few bad eggs anymore,
Yeah.
because what we have to be looking at comprehensive police reforms. It's really
Okay.
beyond SARS. It's beyond SARS now, because
Okay.
when they say they disband SARS, those same people go back to the street now wearing uniform, and then they
Yeah.
have the audacity to collect from every cabman. They collect 50 naira, 100 naira from every cabman. There are some of them at the junction of my house. You cannot even stop them, and they are standing there with guns. It's just broad daylight robbery, and this is not even SARS. So we
It's
have to be
like
talking.
it's more like a government organized kind of robbery.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so does this is it this based on let's say if I am a SARS officer, I just get the money. Is it specifically for myself, or there is another I have to give it to my superior some form of cash, or what happens? Or also
Actually,
on you, I also wanted to understand when you say that when you want to get your maybe your client out and they held you hostage. Someone says like what they hold the lawyer out. How does this happen? I try to understand because I mean
Let me tell you, about these people. You know that I know, Barrister, I'm sure we know that these people have a way of detaining people in their custody. In fact, there are a lot of missing people in Nigeria that they are in the custody of SARS, and people don't
that's
know their
true.
whereabouts. So it is that bad. They can detain anybody at any point in time, and you will not have access to anything. You will not have access to your family. You will not have access to lawyers. You will not have access. So they are so brutal. They have special detention units to detain people. indefinitely, and which is against the law. Thank God the lawyer is here. There is
Yeah,
the law.
so that's why I wanted to piece of lawyer. But Olai has been quiet for a while. Ola, tell us what was your encounter with these SARS guys? Did you ever had any interesting one?
Okay, Herbert, rightly said by Kayode, he has tried to emphasize on the impact, in the level of corruption that has gone down deep into the police system. And I would like to say maybe we should look at it with we should look at it from another angle. The police reform, the police system, the policing system in Nigeria is a very long institution, is a old age institution, almost over 100 years now.
Okay.
And we have seen them, move through the different regime, the military regime, and the normal system of government, which we enjoy today, democracy. One thing that has stood out there was that they have been the victim all through, those different regimes. They've been the foot soldier, the one being used. They experience the military system that order and directs them to execute, function. And when we move to democracy, we weren't led by people that are liberal. We were led by people with military experience, whom their total life, they spent it being a head of state, just commanding and ordering. And when they move into
To the
government,
office.
they started ordering and using these same guys to achieve their goal. They weren't following democracy. They were using them up to the point that it become, a usual thing for them to do. Now they saw that they've given them the autonomy at some point. When they kill by mistake, they should feel sad and say, okay, maybe I'm to face the law. But you then see one commissioner intervening for them. From my personal experience with them, I do not have a personal encounter, but I have several events that has, gotten delayed, cancelled, or
Now I
affected
want to know
because
the font that you use, because how can you not have this encounter? I mean, I want to know the font that you use, because you said they profile you. How do you disguise yourself? No, it's just for another time.
okay, like you had now, you just need to cut your head. Yeah, you start from there because you can't. This you have to give it as low as like how your day. Like if you see
Okay.
us now,
I have to cut my hair for me to go. Okay,
that one you must, you just they have an ID picture of someone who is not a criminal, but somehow what made it worse is the fact that even the people that are not criminal, even though you are not dressing the way you are not dressing in a suspective manner, they still go after you and they still detain you for no reasons, and sometimes they replace you with the real culprit. So you get detained for just going, maybe leaving your house at night, going to visit a friend. You get caught on the road, and before you know, you get used, replaced with someone who has committed the crime. Today, if you go, the channel to the prison is through the police. Nobody will take you straight away to the prison. And you see police taking innocent people on the street, replacing them with people whom the politicians have used for their own selfish interest, and they will release those people. They put innocent in place. So we've seen those kind of decadence in the way they operate. I've not had personal experience, but I've had different encounters with friends, that have affected them. Of course, it has also affected, me.
I'm not sure there's anybody in Nigeria who does not know one person that has encountered SARS. It's too much. It's too much.
It's like COVID now. Everybody.
Yeah. There was a time I was going for a conference in Ogun State from Lagos, and I didn't want to drive alone. I said one of my boys should meet me so that we can go together, so that it will not be a boring journey. And you know that I parked somewhere to wait for the guy, and the guy was dressed so bad, and I was like, "What is wrong?" He said, "It's because of SARS." He was carrying one very tattered bag and all of that. So you have to look so bad so that they will not even Albert, if you are looking fresh, is a problem in Nigeria. Once you are looking fresh, when you drive a good car,
it's a problem.
Let's not even talk about your laptop.
If
Oh.
you use Apple laptop, you're in trouble.
No, yes, of course. I agree with that.
If
in a
you
nut-
do dread, you are in trouble. So you
so
must
in a
not all
nutshell,
this dreadlock. You must not do it. So
yes. So
that's the
in a
way they are.
nutshell, this is what we say. In a nutshell, you have to have your nice laptop, your Mac, and what only if you're politically connected, and you should have dreadlocks only if you're
No,
political.
no, it's not about politics.
Even
Because
politics.
It's
Politics
not
does
about
not save.
the former minister in Nigeria, a
yeah,
minister of communication, she
yeah.
tweeted. She said the son was at the gate about entering the house, and these guys stopped him. And thank God the child, and the child was telling them that this is my house. She said, thank God the child did not drag anything with them, that she might have lost the child that day. So this is the son of a former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it is not really, they can
Not
brutalize
political.
anybody.
So
I
I want
actually can tell
to.
you, I can
I
tell
want
you
to.
stories of judges who have been slapped by police operatives.
Okay,
A
so these
judge,
guys
she
seem to
was
be like
slapped
they seem to be
by
like the
a police
supreme.
officer.
So okay, so now I wanted to read the comment that was here when Stanford said, okay, this sounds like Zimbabwe a few years ago when the police were at a huge hindrance on the roads. This was more or less, but I mean, this changed afterwards. But another question will be, I mean, based on your opinion, I mean, we have established the gravity of the of the acts that these guys talk about are actually doing. So, from my own opinion, I thought that maybe it was a politically driven kind of thing. But from what I'm gathering, it's actually based on the fact that they have got some autonomous power that they have them as a unit. But at any given time, okay, what so in this conference, I wonder because it started in 2017, ENDSARS, but what then triggered this in 2020? That's the first part. And what are we fighting for in the ENDSARS? What exactly are we? Are we fighting to reform? Are we fighting it to be dismantled? Or are we? What exactly would you want this ENDSARS to actually achieve right now? What are we? With what we are doing?
What
What would it-
there is 5 or 5. I think
yeah,
there is 5 or 5 demand
yeah.
which is on the table. And if I can remember vividly, is
Mm-hmm.
that I think number 1 is that they should be disbanded. Number
Mm-hmm.
2 is that people that have been detained should be
To be
released
released.
unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think number 3 is justice for victims.
Yes.
And I think number 4, I can't remember number 4 and number 5 now.
I think there's a request for police reforms and then
Yes,
improvement
and
of
everything.
their own well-being too.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And I think the last one is that the salary of the police should
Salary.
be looked into.
Yes.
But for me,
Was
even though I believe that welfare is very important, but I felt that even if these people are collecting millions of naira, they will still be on the streets obtaining. The best way, like somebody is saying in the comment section, is to totally overhaul the system. The system
Yes.
is bad. They need to be trained. They need to do psychological tests for them. We need to be structured. And one of the problem, I think one of the key problem we have is that a lot of people are joining the police force not because they love the job. People
Yes,
are joining it
that's
because of
where
the
the
job.
money-
I agree.
And yeah, it's not because they love the job. You know, if you love something, you'll be more professional about it. But when a force is all about anything goes, people just join. You know, that's why they misbehave. They do anything. There was a video I saw. I saw police officer even dragging guns with themselves in the office. I don't know. Maybe some of you saw the video
Yes.
because of when they went out, they got this particular amount of money and the person was hiding it and all. They were dragging guns among
Okay.
themselves. It's very unprofessional.
So
You can never see
we
anybody that is
want to
very
change the
professional
mindset.
in our
We
country.
want to change the mindset of the police officers. Maybe an overall is what we maybe overhaul of the whole entire police force. But maybe this might not be really possible. If it is possible, it might take a little bit of time. But Ola, tell me, you in Nigeria, what would you expect like tomorrow if, for instance, we would really be satisfied to say we have actually achieved something about this ENDSARS? Because I really hashtagged it at some point, ENDSARS, and I was so proud of myself, even though I didn't know what was going on. But I was just in support of what's going on, but not really understanding it. But you, as a Nigerian, because I also did my part. Maybe some people also followed online, and I need to know what is it that I was fighting for, or what is it that why I hashtagged for. I mean, for your own perspective.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Herbert. Maybe I should start by looking at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the ENDSARS campaign, which started 2017, and the
Mm-hmm.
hashtag was popularly attributed to Sega Link, who was
Mm-hmm.
driving the movement, fighting for Nigerians anytime they had issues or encounter with maltreatment from SARS personnel.
Yeah.
But when we also look at it, this ENDSARS of a thing is more of an effect. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
an effect. The real cause, we should also trace it back first before we even think of what are the likely changes we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
When police force today raised out, maybe open up a form for recruitment in 2014, I can recall vividly, we have hundreds of first class candidates, putting in at the recruitment level of police for police Nigerian Police Academy,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get job. This is
Mm-hmm.
not because they love police, like how they have said. It's not because they love police and I just want to be a police officer. But
Okay.
these guys have stayed at home for so long. When you have PhD students applying to be truck driver in Nigeria, PhD holder, applying to be a truck driver, it's not because they have passion to drive truck. No, they're looking
Okay.
for a job. They just want to have a means of living, of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
livelihood. And that same thing, is more of a system thing. First, we see that the decadence that we have seen today, the effect we are seeing today, is a
Mm-hmm.
result of some causes. And we trace
Okay.
it back, we see unemployment rate has been on the increase. And police force, we are even talking about police force today. There are other sectors in the ministries, agencies, and
Yes.
all those things of government that are not even functioning well. But for me,
Okay.
what I would say a real win or maybe a victory for us means next year or tomorrow about this whole campaign
Mm-hmm.
is to have the SARS not totally dismantled,
Mm-hmm.
but because even if you dissolve them that the way they have done now, and these guys still exist, they are human beings. You
Okay.
only dissolve the name.
Okay.
We need this is why the 5 for 5 is very key.
Mm-hmm.
Working on their mindset,
Okay.
having a sort of reorientation for them. I was so embarrassed, ashamed last
Mm-hmm.
week when I read on Twitter Nigerian police, writing, tweeting, and saying that we are human beings. We too, we are human beings. We are just trying to be emotional. Something close to that. I can pull up the tweet. I was like, are you saying that because you are human being means that you are prone? Yes, we are prone to making mistakes, but you have a mandate. You have a
Okay.
mandate. You are not just like say, okay, accept our mistake always. Killing people, no. The SARS should go as low as SARS. They should only come out after the orientation. They should come out when there is a significant need, there is an intervention need. They shouldn't be
Okay.
seen on the street. They should be silent, no longer heard of. So all this harassment will stop and Nigeria will feel safe again. We don't feel safe to walk on the street.
Oh, really?
Innocent people walking and they're being killed. That doesn't, look like a normal environment. The victory
Yes.
for me would be that they are silent and we are free to move again. They are only required to walk whenever there's a situation for them to intervene.
Yes, so I'll read what Sten has just said there. What I'm hearing, though, is that the issue is not only SARS, but mainly that the poverty and the lack of economic opportunities, which is leading to all these ills. Well, I mean, this is apparently part of many of African issues. I mean, if I need to come back to you as a lawyer and you
Yes.
have dealt with quite a lot of issues around this, I mean, what is your perspective? What would you say from you? Maybe you've been more exposed on the ground and actually dealing with matters, legal matters. What would be your your kind of victory to say? I mean, this is what we really have achieved so far.
Thank you, Albert. Well, for me, victory will start with a complete audit of all SARS detention centers.
Okay.
I have because the first time I dealt with SARS,
Mhm.
the first things I learned, one of the things I learned was that at those detention centers, if your name is called by 7 p.m.
Mhm.
that day, what it means is that you are gone because they need to create space for more people to come in. So instead of releasing people, they were taking people out. So I think for us to really say we have won in the ENDSARS battle, it would be that there has to be a complete audit of all police detention centers. We have to know who is where. We have to know what they are staying there for. We have to know there's an order of court that allows the police to keep them there. We really need to know those who are missing and those whom are, because well, we would say that it is better to know that somebody is dead than to have to
Mhm.
worry about the person being missing for so long. So let us have a complete audit of all police detention centers. We have to know who is where. We have to know why they are being held up. I think Olanwaju mentioned the other time that there are cases where people will be charged together for armed robbery. We're talking
Mhm.
about 10, 15 people, and you hear all of them saying, I don't know what they are talking about. I don't
Yes.
know what they are talking about. So there has to be a complete audit of all police detention centers. We have to know what they are, who they are keeping and why they are keeping them. And then I think we also need to begin to talk extensively about police reforms.
Mhm.
Uh, we have to begin to talk about the security aspects. We have
Okay.
to
So,
talk about training. We have to talk
mhm.
about empowerment,
Mhm.
welfare. We have to talk about all of those things together. And then lastly, we have to talk about justice for those who have been taken out. We have to talk, I think it is beyond having a 500 million compensation fund. I think it is
Okay.
beyond creating a trust fund for them. We have to really, really talk about memorials. We have to talk about people who have died to this thing, and we have to face it. The government cannot continue to run. We cannot continue to have silence when we talk about people who have died. We must take action, particularly in respect of giving justice to families of lost ones. We have to begin
Mhm.
to talk about justice for them. And what will be justice for them? I think it is that the police officers who were part of whatever activities that led to the loss of those people are behind
Mhm.
bars. It is not
Okay.
enough that we give them, that we
Just
suspend
sort of.
them. It's not
Okay.
enough that we demote them. They should be taken out of the force, and they should go to prison. They should spend their time in jail. And of course, we also have to talk about correctional facilities, whether those facilities are going to make them better people or they are going to make them worse. All of
Okay.
these conversations must be ongoing. We have to talk about all of those things together.
Yes. Yes. I mean, this is a very, I think this is the world that we all aspire. I really like that idea. But okay, Coyote, I mean, this is a very interesting part where I want to tune in a little bit from a different perspective. Um, so this is what we want, right? We all agree what would have been the best thing that we want. But what is actually happening now? What is the government done, or what have it promised now? What's really happening right now, or what they at least say maybe we'll look into it. What
Well,
is
I don't want to speak for government. I'm
that,
always
what they have actually announced?
everybody's against the government. So when I want to speak now, I will have
No,
to be
no.
very careful what to say. Well, for me,
Mm,
I felt that the government have at least for the first time I
mm,
have seen that people make five demands and immediately the government is swinging into action. It is very strange in the land because I discovered that number one, immediately they pronounce that that squad has been disbanded, and number two, I discovered that well, me I'm more of Lagos person, so I discovered that the governor of Lagos State, because it is only states that has the power to constitute panels, and the governor of Lagos State constituted a panel.
mm,
Uh, of inquiry to look into the ENDSARS brutality so that people can send in petition. Concerning welfare, welfare issue, all of us agree that the welfare cannot come immediately. There is a police service commission, there is
mhm,
salaries and wages commission that need to look into all these issues. And the president, from the speech he gave the last time, he said he has directed the Salaries and Wages Commission to look into the issue, even though it might be a political statement, but we hold him for his word. And number three, number four now also, um, concerning the evaluation or the psychological evaluation of the police force, I remember that the IGP recalled all the SARS officers back to Abuja to for psychological evaluation, which was made known. Even though, the problem we have generally is that we have had long time of not trusting government. So it has been a very, so whenever government make pronunciation,
Yeah.
people will always doubt it. But for me, one of the reasons why I don't comment sometimes is that I'm not in Lagos presently. So
Yes.
when I talk, they
This
will say,
is
"Oh,
very
you are not in Lagos." But when I always tell them, "This is Lagos. I've lived for over 30 years, so I know what is going on there. So this is where I have family, so I know what is happening over there." So one of the problem we have is we don't trust our government because the way African leaders are, the way Nigerian leaders are, is very
okay.
different. So
Okay.
I think those are the things the government have done concerning the fund. Even I agree with Barrister. I felt that setting up a 500
So
million.
let me ask you a different question. So you
Okay,
don't trust the government, right? And they've promised this. So are you satisfied at the moment, or you just like time will tell?
for me,
Yeah.
for
So
me,
you're not satisfied.
I will ask my brothers in Lagos to say if they are satisfied. But for me, I still believe that these things are not hard to do.
Yes.
You have to show commitment.
Yes.
What
We
Nigerians
all
want is
agree. I
what
think
different
everybody
issue
agrees they
of
are not
commitment.
difficult.
Hmm?
Yeah.
It's about
It is not
doing it.
difficult. When you
Yes.
say you have disbanded,
Yeah.
it is unheard of. I was sad that the IDP immediately,
Mm,
I know there must be an anti-robbery squad, but because of the mood of the nation, you
mm.
should have created a SWAT team immediately. It will trigger people because people will see that, oh, these people are just changing names, they are just changing tactics. It's still the same
Yeah.
set of people. So for me, I see it as not sensible enough,
Yeah,
to
yes.
to
So
to, to set up another.
Stanford actually respond and say one must be very careful. These guys, their quick response might actually be a political one to just change. I mean,
Yes,
I want to call in Ola there and hear what he thinks about
Oh,
these promises.
awesome. As a matter of fact, we need to know that our government has played us long enough.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
because that has been the story. We have a lot of bodies, a lot of protests that have taken place in the past.
Mhm,
In 1947, Fumlayo and Kuti had
mhm,
something similar to this, fighting for
mhm,
the abolishment of tax against women. And we saw how it played out, similar to what happened today, where she led over 10,000 women, to the Alake palace in Abeokuta. And they were there for 2 days, sleeping, cooking, saying they're not going home until the issues is being attended to. And we end up seeing promises upon promises.
okay.
If you look at the educational system, you see ASU today, we've not seen a very significant difference. Year on year, they go on strike. And the government will always have a dialogue and say, okay, we'll do this. Everything, they've been carrying over promises onto new government, promises upon promises. Just early this year, Lagos State government made a policy to stop motorbike from plying some routes in Lagos State. That
Mhm,
created some sort of discomfort for people.
mhm,
But it took effect within 1 week. I mean, everywhere was just cleared up. No bike there goes where government said it shouldn't go. So if it is that really effective for them to implement their own policy, how much more the demand of the people? So
So it's not difficult. We have established this. It's just that
yes, is
we,
that
we
they
don't.
didn't want to do, they didn't want to do it. And what we were trying to do,
Then Lennon is bleeding to the Lord to heal
okay,
Africa.
what we only needed was, you've made the promise, okay, you disbanded this. Let's all see the commitment. And once
Yes,
we see a
yes.
significant commitment, we withdraw. But
Mhm.
what we got from there wasn't expected at all. So I'm not satisfied with the
You are not
result
satisfied. So
at all.
we continue. No?
About if I
Yes,
may, I
I
think
know you are begging.
one of the reasons why it is difficult to take the government seriously.
Yeah.
You know that since the ENDSARS protest started,
Mm-hmm.
we have not had a single case of anybody that has been charged to court. I mean,
Okay.
a police officer.
Oh
But
yes.
just a few days ago, the government charged close to 500 people to court for looting. It was
Okay.
so easy to charge Nigerians for offenses, yet they have not been able to charge one person, one police officer. Interestingly, the attorneys general of Ogun State and Lagos State published names of they published cases that they said they are prosecuting in court
Mm-hmm.
that are supposed to give us the idea that they are give us the appearance that they are actually prosecuting police
Mhm.
officers. Some of those cases have been in court since 2012. They are not new cases. They are not cases flowing from the ENDSARS protest. So you
Okay.
have found it very difficult to charge police officers who have clearly acted in contravention of their roles, but you find it very easy to take
To
Nigerians. There was a 14-year-old boy that was charged alongside all the adults. It took a lot of intervention to get him out. So I don't think the government has shown enough good faith, really. Even though I'm minded to want to, let's see how it goes, but I think that we have to begin to work seriously on civic engagement, enlightening our people, so that by the time the next election comes, we are more intentional about the people who are in power, and then we can take power away from those who are there now, who clearly don't even know how to give power to the people.
Yes, I mean, like what you're saying now. There's this incident that I saw. I watched on Instagram. It was a little bit disturbing that they were actually shooting on protesters that, like, they were not armed. Though it was like, from what I saw, they were just protesting, and then you have the whole army with guns to shoot on the protesters. I mean, if you don't want to answer on this one, it's entirely okay. I mean, is this true, or what really happened? Or, I mean, there are so many reports. I mean, if there is someone who had the actual feel of what happened, or maybe what the neighbor said. I mean, but if you are not comfortable to talk about it, it's entirely okay.
Well, the
Well,
information we
okay.
have, the information we
Yes.
have is that there was the Lagos State government declared a curfew and
Mm-hmm.
said by 9 p.m. people were to be
Yeah.
off the streets.
Okay.
Before 9 p.m., at about 7 o'clock, the Nigerian army, well, now we already know that they were there, even though
Mm-hmm.
they have not accepted that they killed people, but we know that the Nigerian army were there,
Was there?
and
Okay.
they shot at protesters.
Mm-hmm.
We have had all sorts of conflicting information. We have
Right.
had misinformation here and there, so it's difficult to say this is exactly what happened. But
What happened?
what we
What?
know is
Okay.
that officers of the Nigerian army shot at unarmed protesters. We don't know for sure how many lives were lost. It is difficult to track because we have reports of the army moving dead bodies. We don't know for sure. The governor had said there were no fatalities. Before the end of the next day, he said there was one person,
That's
and then the
person.
next day he said we now have two. So we really don't know. But what we know is that what they did on the 20th of October was terrible, and
Okay.
we really hope that something like that will not happen again. But
Not
it
happening
was
again.
a terrible thing, really,
A
and I
terrible
don't
thing. Yes.
think there is sufficient evidence to prove that it happened. It is
Okay.
the extent of the damage that was done that night that we really will still require some more investigation to prove.
Yes, I believe people like you are lawyers. We really rally behind you in this part. I mean, I think I'm sure Ola would agree with me. I mean, what's your sentiment on this?
Okay, thank you, Herbert. It was so sad because I was on live. I wasn't at the venue. I was in another
Mhm,
venue that same afternoon. I was
mhm,
at Ikeja. I was still part of those people saying, okay, we need to bring an end to police brutality. I was joining the
yeah.
protest and I went back home and I
Hmm.
just had rest. And the next thing was to go on Instagram and join live, show from DJ Switch. And
Hmm.
before I know what was there, I started seeing, people in, light was off. People were singing the national anthem in solidarity to the nation. And I was
Hmm.
hearing gunshots. I was crying. So this wasn't maybe a video that was doctored. It was a live event. And to be very honest, it dehumanized heart. And there were a
Yeah.
lot of things that have been done by the government to cover up.
Okay.
I don't know how best to push my emotion around that particular heart. The leaders of
Okay.
tomorrow, this was the most successful, peaceful protest in Nigeria
Protest.
ever. These guys were organized, they were well coordinated.
Hmm.
They go there to clean the place in the morning. All they just want is that let government show commitments towards what we've demanded for. And once we see that significant commitment, we will go back home and we will continue to follow up. We were unarmed. and yet we were harmed.
Yes.
The havoc they caused, the after part of that Lekki massacre was what it wasn't easy. About 1 trillion naira in terms of value of fund or property that has been destroyed. Yes, it has been estimated to be 1 trillion naira damages in Lagos alone. There wouldn't have been anything like looting, nothing like burning, government buildings and structures if that Lekki massacre didn't take place.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's a very sad.
It's a very sad situation. I mean, Khaled, I mean, tell me, you hearing this news away
Yes,
from home, how did you react to this?
I have tried to avoid the debate on what happened at Lekki because there were a lot of misinformation, a lot of fake news, a lot of emotional games we saw on social media.
Yeah.
But the facts will always remain the facts.
Okay,
That at that night, the Nigerian military were there. At that night, the Nigerian military shot, which is unprofessional. It will have been better they shot tear gas if you want to disperse protesters, or they use the water, whatever. At that night, it was obvious people were injured.
Yeah.
It was obvious that people were brutalized. It was obvious that there were bullets on the ground. So there are some facts that cannot be denied, even though there are a lot of games there. So while we await the investigation, even though one way or the other, government is the one that is the judge in his own case.
He's the one who is investigating. He's the one who gives the reports.
The report of the committee will still come to the government, and maybe at the end of the day it will be cleaned up and they will call it white paper. But the truth will always remain the truth.
For sure.
The protesters were peaceful, no doubt. But one of the things we should agree is that when it was discovered that the touts, hoodlums, were already hijacking, and I know the reason why. Like you first said, I know the reason why the government declared curfew was before the Lekki shooting. There has been hoodlums and touts hijacking this protest, and they have been going around to cause mayhem. And I think that was what the curfew. I don't think the curfew was just declared because of protests, because there were some hoodlums, even though there were arguments that they were government instruments. There were arguments that they are being used by politicians to discredit the protesters. But like everybody is watching us there, everybody must share in his own blame. Of course, some of my friends that were very active in that protest, I said all of us must share in the blame, because when you are fighting, you should have put all those things into consideration. That some people want to hijack, and at that point in time, you have to show restraint, because all what they want to see when people are talking now, they will say the aftermath of ENDSARS protest, and all the gains of that protest was systematically dismantled. Because people are discrediting it. They were looting.
Yes.
But what happened at Lekki is totally condemnable. It is a treasonable act. It is an act that shouldn't happen in a democratic setting and should be condemned by all without any sentiment or emotion, regardless of fake news and all of that. But at the end of the day, we are going to know the fact. The facts are coming out now. The military has agreed. The military has accused the state government. By next week, we'll know. Maybe by next week, there will still be fight between Sanwo-Olu and the hospital, and we'll know whether there are more deaths than that. We have seen a lot of figures of death. Some people have claimed 10. We have had 55. I've had in. I've seen a lot.
Yes. But so this is also another problem. Yes. I mean, this is also another problem with fake news and people actually hijacking. So we don't really know what's happening. But I mean, we're actually approaching the end of our show. I mean, guys, I really appreciate the time that you have been here ending SARS in Nigeria, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort. But there is something that I want to quote from. I don't know how to say his name correctly. I'm not very much a soccer fan, but he's from Man U. For those who support Man U. I think it's Igalo, I think. Then there's a part that he said, I'm calling the UK government and most leaders in the world to please see what's going on in Nigeria. One part that actually got me very worried was he was calling, of course, maybe he's actually staying in the UK, he would actually call for the UK government. He never said, I'm calling on the EU or is it ECOWAS, the one that also Nigeria is part of, or it's which one is you guys part of? I'm sorry. The
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth,
Yes,
we are part
yes,
of Commonwealth. We are part of
yes.
Commonwealth.
So they never really called on African organizations to actually come and solve our own African problems. Nobody went talk about what do you call it, the next country, to say your neighbor or Ghana or someone who is local. This is what we know. I mean, every time when we have problems at home, we always go to the neighbor and say, we don't have salt. Can we borrow your salt? But unfortunately, we are talking about people that do not really understand where we are coming from as Africans, how we deal with our problems as Africans. But we call on other people. Why is this? I mean, this is your part in short to say, this is my closing remarks. And what will be the advice that would actually give, be it to any Nigerian or to any African youth who feel more or less the way that you're feeling right now? What will be your advice? What do you think, how we can do the African solidarity? Now, I think plus or minus, people know what actually ENDSARS is about, or have an idea at least of what it's about. Now I'm going to hashtag and actually enjoy it and say, like, okay, let me see what's going on. At least I put my effort understanding what's really going on, other than just putting the effort of saying Nigerian lives matter. But I think I've said so much in a small statement, but for us to round up, this is your last time to round up and to make a conclusion. What will be your advice to any fellow African youth or Nigerian youth?
Well, like if I said that, so we should go out and vote. For me, I've always believed that uh, there was a time I believed that leadership is about age, but later on, because I was leading a campaign, then Youth Arise Network, and later on, I later discovered that leadership is not about age; it's about
Yeah.
competence, it's about being capable. Because
Okay.
the worst governor in Nigeria is the youngest. Recently, one of the youngest honorable in Lagos was calling the youth children.
Mhm.
You know, it's an embarrassment that is part of the youth and is calling the fellow youth children. So, what are we advised to young generation? Like Pastor Samadi Emi said, in 10 years' time, all of us that we are seated here debating this, some of us will be ministers, some of us will be governors, some of us will be commissioners. What are
Yeah.
we going to do to make a difference?
Okay.
Because these things that we are complaining about
Mhm.
today, in 10 years' time, we also will be in government. So, what are we going to do to make a difference? So, to young Nigerians, fellow youths, what I would say is that let all of us ensure that as we move on in life, in our own little way, let us do the right thing. Let us orientate people. Let us develop competency so that when we also get there, the system will not, will not consume us because it's consuming some people. Somebody like Desmond Elliott, the system is already consuming him. In
Mhm.
Nigeria and Africa politics, they can rubbish your PhD. They can rubbish your education. The man that was forming to collapse the NDDC chairman, he
Funding.
came from the United Kingdom. He was appointed from the United Kingdom. He has his PhD in medical microbiology from the United Kingdom. And look at what Nigerian politics has turned into to be pretending that it's collapsing. So we must all have this mindset that we are going to do our best when we get there. We are going to change the world around us. We are going to do what is expected of us to do so. And as we go on, let us participate in an election. Power is not given freely. You struggle for it. You
Okay.
fight for it. So that's my final word to all young Nigerians and all young Africans watching us this evening.
Okay. Ola, this is your time.
Okay, thank
Your
you.
message to the world.
So, what I will say is this, especially for Nigerian youths, we believe that the young today, they are the leaders of tomorrow. I would like to say that we should hold on to our value. It start from there. Because the system we have today that we are criticizing today, many of those people were not what they are, you know, when, a few years ago. It is the system that got them, that turned them to who they are today. And my main advice would be for us to develop enough capacity that we make sure that we're able to effect change. It is very key because it's no longer about, we respect age now. We want youth to be in that position of power and let's see what we can do. But most importantly, let us develop what we call minimum viable capacity. It is that ability for you, not to fail when you get into a position. So because we want a youth there, we will be sad if after the whole fight, we have elected young leaders and honorables, commissioners in government, but who are later not capable. So what we can do for the nation, but you are doing that for yourself first, is to develop capacity and build up yourself up
Okay.
to the point that when that responsibility is expected from you, you do not fail your generation. And that's
Okay.
where we drop the notes
Okay.
here.
And if your parting shot.
Thank you. On African solidarity, I think that Africa has to consolidate on the opportunities we have to unite. Um, we know about the European Union. We know about all the coalitions that we have in Asia and all of that. I think Africa needs to consolidate on its strength. There is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that seeks to make the whole of Africa one trade area. What it means is that I can work from Nigeria, I can go to Ghana, I can go to Zimbabwe, I can go to everywhere around Africa as a lawyer. I think Africa would need to develop this very strategically because it is as we improve each country unit that Africa becomes stronger. So the people in Zimbabwe should not say what is happening in Nigeria does not concern them because it is going to eventually get to them. Our leaders are
Yeah.
learning from themselves. They are trying the same thing. They see that it works in Nigeria, they will try it in Ghana.
Yeah.
You
Fine.
see
Yeah.
that
This is
our leaders are more united in their tyranny than they are united in the value they deliver to
in
their people. So I think we see that while something was happening in Nigeria, something else was happening in Congo.
yeah.
So we cannot ignore what is happening in Nigeria and say that's Nigeria. No, I think Africa must unite and we must be prepared to fight institutions, must be prepared to take power, and must be prepared to work towards economic prosperity for all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you guys have said it all, and it's really powerful. I like the fact that you say that African leaders or our leaders really seem to be agreeing on tyranny than actually in building Africa itself, and we are kind of ignoring when it comes to. We think that it's all about a nation's problems. It's never our problems, but they always have a snowball effect on us either way. So, I mean, I would like to, guys, to thank you for the time that we have been together. And it has been very insightful. I think some people who feel plus or minus we have actually been in a situation as me have actually come to understand, to really have a better understanding of what it is about. And I'm sure it helped someone. And thank you so much for watching us and watching this video and listening to what's actually happening in Nigeria. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.